Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. My name is Somajit, your instructor for the day. First of all, I hope you guys are doing well, and I am really hoping that you guys are solving problems par with CAT. So one thing that I would like to ask you all to pause the video right now and try and solve this question. This is a very interesting question, a CAT 22 actual CAT question. So let's start with the analysis of this question and see if there is anything that we could have learned from this one. So the question says that in an examination there were 75 questions, 3 marks were awarded for each correct, 1 mark was deducted for each wrong, and 1 mark was awarded for each unattempted question. Ryan scored a total of 97 in the examination. Now this basically should tell you that if the person is scoring 97 and he would have gotten 75 just by unattempting all the questions, that means he is attempting a few questions. So this is, these are the, you can say, inferences that you have to keep on drawing. The next part says if the number of unattempted questions were higher than the number of attempted questions, then the maximum number of correct answers that Ryan could have given. So we are only looking at the maximum correct answers. Okay, so we are just looking at the maximum correct answers by this fellow in the examination. So first of all, it's a very simple idea that C plus W plus U, where C correspond to correct, wrong, and unattempted. All the questions will be 75, equal to 75. This, you can say, this is equation number 1 going the algebraic way. The second one obviously will be the marking scheme: 3 for correct, -1 for wrong, and +1 for unattempted. This is this typical a case for this fellow Ryan, which is 97 marks. You can call this equation 2. Now what you can typically do is you can add or subtract depending upon what is it that is required. In this particular case, I can see that W will get eliminated if I add these two equations. So let's do that. And because I don't really have any work for W, because I just need to know the correct answer ka maximum range. So 4C plus 2U, and that is equals to, when you add 75 to 97, it will get 7 and 12, and this one is 172. Yeah, so if you do a little bit of more simplification, you'll reach at 2C plus U, that is equals to 86. Now that's it. Now what I have to do from here, or what I can do to proceed from this part, is that there is this idea that is given to me. If where is it? Yeah, if the unattempted question were higher than the number of attempted questions. What does this mean? That let me change the color. What this means is, if you said C plus W are the total number of attempted questions, they are less than the unattempted question. Now totally there are 75 questions. Suppose if I'm considering these two as a single entity, the maximum that C plus W, or that entity, and U would have occurred at half of 75, which is how much? 37.5. So 37.5. Now this is the understanding that you are supposed to take in the examination, that 37.5 is going to be the maximum when both of these quantities are equal. Now what exactly am I trying to say? The minimum value that you can take, or in other words, U minimum, will be equal to a little more than 37.5, which in our case will be perfect at 38. And for C plus W max, the maximum value will be a little less than 37.5, which is, you can say that this is 37. Okay, now if you go the other way, you can solve a lot of equations, you can get there, but I will just hang on with this idea only. And in any which case, you just have to tell me what is the maximum C that you can get. Now the idea that is very clear to you, the idea is you have to minimize this quantity from there, and you have to, when you minimize U, you will eventually maximize C. Now did we not just calculated the minimum value of U? How much was it? It was 38. So let's just plug that in. So when we plug that in, it will be 2C, and in this case now it will be max plus 38 is equal to 86, and this equals to 2C max will be 86 minus 38, and this is going to be 16 minus 8 is 8, 7 minus 3 is 4 goes away 24, so C max will be 24. You could have got to C max through solving a string of equations as well, but I think this was, you know, more than enough. A very 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 decent question, a very interesting question, equations का question, और ये सब question CAT में आते हैं. तो yeah, if you are solving these type of question, kudos. Let's go to the next question. This is a pretty interesting question, you know, a category of question which can be considered as difficult also, but I don't know if difficult or easy is a good word for our purposes, but let's see. 5 students including Amit appear for an examination in which possible marks are integers. This is a very interesting question. Okay, integers, the moment they say integers, the question becomes a little interesting. Integers between 0 and 50, both inclusive, that 0 can also be there, this thing also can be there. Now the question starts. The average marks of all the students is 38 and exactly 3 of the students got more than 32. If no 2 students got the same marks and Amit got the least marks among the 5 students, then the difference between the highest and the lowest possible marks of Amit is. Now I would like to say 2 things before I solve this question. The first thing is that this is not the type of a question that you solve in a test. Okay, if you are very comfortable with averages, go ahead, solve it. That is why I keep on saying that, you know, CAT 2022 was hell-bent on testing average ka concept, but you know, let's not. So first of all, let's understand what the question is asking us. There are 5 students, right? So average is equals to sum by numbers. Now average is given out to be 38 and number I already know is 5, that is 150, 40, that is 190. Now 190 is the total marks, or rather the sum total of these students. Now remember one thing, that there are going to be individual marks. There are 3 students, so there will be Amit somewhere over there. I'm just, you know, marking Amit in the beginning just so that I don't have to think too much. And then these fellows. Now the question has told me that the average marks is 38 and exactly 3 students got more than 32. Now what does this mean? That exactly 3 got more than 32. So these people have to be 30. And also one more interesting thing is no student got the same marks. Effectively what they're telling you is that it can be 33, 34, 35. This number can be 32, but it cannot be more than 32 because there are only 3 numbers which are more than 32. So this is the idea of averages, if you are comfortable with it. And what can we say about this fellow Amit? Amit is scoring the least, which means in one of the cases it will be 31. One thing for sure, if I talk about the maximum marks that Amit can get 31 as the maximum. But what about the minimum marks that he can get? Let's try and understand that one. So far we have not done anything. This is just logic. Okay, we are not doing anything. This is just logic. So to get the minimum marks for Amit, what I need to give the maximum amount of marks to the other students. What I can do is, let me change the color and try and make you guys visualize this one. Remember that, you know, the allotted or the, you know, allowed marks, the maximum allowed marks is 50. So what I can do possibly is I can give one of the fellows 50, the other one one less than that, and the other one less than that. Okay, now what about this person? Can he be anything more than 32? No, because only 3 people are getting more than 32. So this has to be 32. Less than 32 also work, but 32 he maximum if you are giving, so 32 is possible. So let's just add these numbers and see what this is. So this is going to be how much? So 70, 80, 80, 50 is 130, 130, 179. 179 is the total. 179 is the total. And remember, this is the total by the 4 people. The 4 people, we are maximizing the marks. Okay. Total marks by them is 179. But I know that the with the average which is given. 38 is the average of the total collection of people. Okay, Amit can have 190 minus 179, which is 11 in this case. I hope that made sense. Oh, can you see this? Just a second. Okay, so 179 plus 1 is 180 plus 10 is 190. Okay, so 11 is the minimum. So this is for max, this is for min. If you would have understood, now this is not the question of calculation, this is just a question of understanding averages. If you are clear with what averages is, how you represent averages, and how averages individually shape this thing, how individual numbers can shape the average, and how the average can shape the individual numbers. If you're thorough with that, then this question was not that difficult. Okay, for the ones who are looking for the answer to this is 20, because they have asked you the difference between the highest and the lowest possible marks of Amit. So 31 minus 11 obviously is 20. So the answer to this question has to be C. This was not a very difficult question, but I would have left it in the first round at least. This is not the type of a question that you pick in the first round. Why? Keep on saying this, because there's a 40 minutes ka, timer that is going on in your head. चलिए कुछ और क्वेश्चन पे चलता है. This is a interesting question, a very decent question, I would say. The length of each side of an equilateral triangle. I'm very happy that Cat has asked you this question. I don't know what I can say for this question. I really am like speechless, because this was a googly, this was a sitter. ठीक है, हम खोजते हैं इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस को. Anyways, so first of all, this is an equilateral triangle, and for the ones who know, equilateral triangle is the best figure that you will find in the entire geometry. Equilateral triangle, hexagon, circle, these are your, if you really understand geometry ना, आपको डराया बहुत जाता है geometry बोल करके कि अरे geometry में पता नहीं क्या क्या ऐसे figures हैं, but geometry में सिर्फ equilateral triangle, hexagon, circle, इस तरह के rectangle, squares and all, ये प्यारे प्यारे figures हैं. CAT में उसी तरह के question भी पूछे जाते हैं. ठीक है, तो आप देखो. The question is very interesting. Obviously, they'll ask you a little difficult questions also sometimes, but I'm saying कि more or less आपको easy questions ही पूछे जाएंगे. चलिए थोड़ा इसको solve करते हैं, बहुत बातें हो गई. I don't know if this looks like an equilateral triangle. I am trying my level best to design it like an equilateral triangle, but okay. So what it says is ABC is an equilateral triangle and ABC का length भी पता है 3 centimeter. So 3 centimeter, 3 centimeter and 3 centimeter. Okay, now it says that let D be a point on BC such that the area of the triangle ADC is half the area of ABD. Now this was a googly. मतलब ये आपको दिया ही इसलिए था ताकि आप थोड़ा सा समझ जाओ कि ये कहाँ आपको ले जा रहा है. What it is telling you is if this is X, this area will be 2x. Now if you guys have done even this much triangles, now this is the first thing that I teach you in the triangle ka concept, you will realize the areas basically divide the entire triangle, and if the triangle is like this, there is a CVN that you are drawing like this will divide the other side in the same ratio of the areas. Basically what I'm trying to say is that this is going to be 1:2, or rather 2:1 is a right term, and this is obviously BD. So BD is to DC. Can I not? BD by DC is 2/1. And if you are a little, if you can see this thing, this will not be 2x and x, it will be 2 and 1 only, because this is an equilateral triangle. Now they're asking you to calculate this AD line. Now from here it can become a little challenging if you are, if geometry is something that you hate. But you just needed to drop a perpendicular and the question is solved. And you will say कि सर आपको कैसे पता है कि perpendicular draw करना है? तो this is something that this is something that practice gives you, that you have to drop perpendiculars, you'll have to take some values. So yeah, I cannot say. Now obviously you will realize that this part is 1.5 all the way till here. And obviously this part is going to be, so can possibly name it also AM, BM, but these are not the things that you do in an exam condition. You'll just straight up go there. Okay. This MD is going to 0.5, going to be 0.5, which is half. Now please understand, all the options are given root over 6, root over 5, root over 8. So this means कि मैं जो भी क्वेश्चन लेके आऊंगा रेडिकल रूट में होगा, तो मुझे ज़्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना है. आई डोंट हैव टू इंट्रोड्यूस डेसिमल्स इनटू माय कैलकुलेशन. अदरवाइज डेसिमल्स अगर होता तो ऑप्शंस के थ्रू समझ में आ जाता. ओके, लेट्स डू पाइथागोरस थ्योरम ऑन ABM. सो ABM में पाइथागोरस थ्योरम लगाओगे, यू विल रियलाइज I am searching for AM, that is going to be 3 square minus half square. I'll directly write this. Minus half square, this is going to be 9 minus 1 by 4, not the square. Okay. Oh, yeah, 1.5 is, sorry, this is not going to be 1.5, is going to be 1.5, 3 by 2, sorry, mistake. बातें करते करते गलतियां हो जाती हैं थोड़ी सी. This is going to be 3 by, because understand what this is 1.5 all the way till there. 1.5, which is as good as 3 by 2, that is 9 by 4. If you if you take 9 common, you'll get 1 minus 1 by 4, or you can write it like 9 into 3 by 4. Now understand that all of this had a root over. Okay, so 9 by 4 we know this is 3 by 2 root over 3. Now this AM is equals to, let me create some space. Now it's solved. Now it is solved. AM is equal to 3 by 2 root 3. Or you can also say 3 root 3 by 2. You already know this value. You just needed to square them and add them. Root over chada do. This is going to be 9 3 are 27 by 4, and this one is going to be 1 by 4, that is 8. I'm calculating for AD. Okay, now certainly this is AD. Now AD will be, 4 is common, so 28. So 28, 7 4s are 28, yeah, 4 7s are 28. So this is going to be root over 7. Very, 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 very easy question. I don't think this would have taken you more than 2 minutes just for the calculation. 2 बार पाइथागोरस लगाओ, solve हो जाएगा. ठीक है, easiest question that one can encounter in the history of CAT. So that's it. Thank you. Okay, for the ones who are still there, जो अभी भी टिके हुए हैं, उनसे थोड़ी बातें करते हैं. जिन लोगों का हो गया आप जा सकते हो, जिन लोगों को मेरे